Okay, thank you for like having me here. Uh, First thing first, I want to ask is about change of social, especially in your country, where you're living now in New Zealand. And the first thing I want to know is how can like globalization, and then we now have like mobile devices, we have internet. How does that change the life of youngins or teenagers in New Zealand,
In
especially?
New Zealand.
Yeah.
Well, they are, of course, connected through their devices.
Yeah.
They can be in touch with each other all the time, day and night. And I think it has changed the social fabric of the country because I think there's more going on the device than people meeting.
Yeah.
Even if they meet, they go out, they are still on their device and not really talking to each other, which I think is quite sad because they miss out on real contact with each other.
Okay. You said from the negative side of what you said, do you think that there is like more positive side in it?
What would the positive side? Of course, you know, there's so much knowledge at your fingertips now through social media and internet and all of that. So you can look up anything. Still, I think there are some drawbacks to that as well because people don't read books anymore. You know, it's all on the device. But it has certainly opened up a wide possibility for everyone to have access to knowledge.
Okay. And then, okay, after that, do you think that New Zealand has changed a lot since you have first went there?
I went to New Zealand about 40 years ago, and in the rural areas, I don't think so much has changed. Of course, there are more cars and people have 2 cars and so on. But in the big cities, especially in Auckland, it has changed an awful lot. Auckland has become very big. More than a quarter of the population of New Zealand lives in Auckland, and they haven't really catered for these enormous changes. So there is a real traffic problem and there is a housing problem. So, you know, there are people who are sleeping on the streets or in cars, and we never used to have that. Everyone was far more able to even buy their own house, and that's much more difficult for young people these days. Yeah.
Do you think the main factor of that change is internal, like from the people of New Zealand, or is it external, like external forces from outside of the society?
I think it's also from outside because New Zealand has allowed more people to enter the country because, you know, it wants to expand its economy. But it has meant that a lot of people from the islands like Fiji and the Cook Islands and Noumea and all those sort of countries, they have come to New Zealand in big numbers, big numbers. And they are not necessarily, you know, they don't all have a job, or they come because their grandma is there or their auntie is there or their, So, so it is also from outside, not just from inside.
So, do you think that Kiwis or New Zealander can they adapt to that change, or should they like stop the factor from changing New Zealand forever?
No, I think we can adapt to it, and I think we should. We shouldn't just be an isolated place. I think, you know, as a country, we have been able to do some big things in the world, even like, you know, we were the first country where we had women's vote.
Yeah.
and we were the first country that said no more nuclear ships coming to our harbours. So, you know, we can make a difference. At the moment, we have a female Prime Minister who just had a baby.
Yeah.
So these things are possible. We have gay people that can get married. You know, there's quite an openness in New Zealand.
And you have like education background, and then you are a practitioner, you are also like teacher,
Yeah.
and you're also like one of the biggest name in the Waldorf community.
No, not one of the biggest names
Okay,
at all.
Yeah.
Just a little person who likes to do some work in the Waldorf community. Yeah.
And how does it affect the Waldorf community? I mean, the change with all of the cyber things, and then all of the all of the information that is coming to our generation. How does that affect your education, especially in Waldorf education?
I think it does have an effect on it. Then again, we have always known that in Waldorf education that technology is something that first needs to be understood before you use it. So we have always delayed the introduction of technology in our schools, and it isn't until the early high school years that people have access to technology in the school. Of course, people have access at home, so it's not. But we also like to then still do some lessons on how did the computer come to being, you know, what is it, you know, all the background of technology. We like our students to know that.
Okay, that's all for our interview today.
Good.
Thank you very much for having me here.
You're very welcome. It was fun talking to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.